No one's ever asked, but that's the real reason. So we started to send out questionnaires to people, rather than just do records and write about whatever they write about when they do sleep notes for Mariah Carey. God knows what they write. I have no idea. We started thinking, let's write about what we're really concerned with. Why is it that the economy is run the way it is? Basically, we're all used as serfs. We're seen as raw material. We're not seen as individual people with a right to as many freedoms as those who are rich and powerful. There's a duality here which is out of sync. So we would write our own personal gripes, our angers, our complaints about the way we felt society was inequitable, how economy was inappropriate, and most of all, that people were being suppressed and tricked into not realizing their true potential. One thing we noticed as we did all our experiments was how many people have what we call the genius factor. How many people can do something incredible, something remarkable, if you just say, why don't you? We could give examples. There are people here tonight, we won't name them, but people who've done things like going through my archive, and they found a box of old tapes and said, what are these? And we said, oh, those are really awful recordings from way back when we were at school in 1967. Don't worry about those. And he said, but people would really like to hear these, Jen. This is historical now. No. Yes, people would like to hear it. And we said, well, okay, then you do it. And he did. He went out, he found out how to master a record, he found out how to get one pressed, he found people who would take them in their shops, and he sold all of the records he made. And he now has a thriving record label with about 14 or 15 different obscure artists who are also all releasing records that otherwise would have disappeared into ignominy and been forgotten. And all that happened was he was challenged to do it. It's so simple. And there are many people who know that happens around us. And it's nothing clever about us. It's just pushing a passion, a positive passion, back at someone. You recognize in them how much it matters to them. And then you just give what sounds like permission. But really, you're just opening the door that they've already seen for themselves. So, the Temple of Psychic Youth grew from essays on the back of records, people writing in. We decided that if we were going to have our own cultural network that we would design ourselves, then we could design our own mythology, our own talismans, our own saints and sinners, and we could take it as far as we wished. People could build slowly but surely an almost tribal, very ad hoc, almost dumpster diving kind of culture. And it happened to coincide in Britain with the rave culture, which we were involved with too. So we started having big raves with lots of people coming along, sharing their resources, and it grew. People started saying, why can't we be like this all the time instead of just at the weekend? And we said, then why don't we do it? And bit by bit, different groups of people got together and rented houses, and people in different countries started to do the same thing, until there were nearly 10,000 people all involved in this idea of finding a new way of being and recognizing other people who might just have enough in common to be trustworthy and helpful and maybe give generously of some energy, whatever it might be. Now, it's obviously very hard to know what the hell to pick out of 540 pages of very dense writing. But we thought one way would be to start with what we sent out to people at the very beginning. And what we said when they wrote to us. Everybody got this first. It says, a personal message from the Temple of Psychic Youth. Later on, have a think, see if it sounds like today. We have reached a crisis point. We are aware that the whole area of our experience of life, there is so much missing. We are faced with a storm of the fiercest strength known. We are faced with the debasement of man and woman to a creature without feelings, without knowledge, and without pride of self. We are faced with dissolution far more complete than death. A new dark age is coming. We have been conditioned, encouraged, and blackmailed into self-restriction, into a narrower and narrower perception of ourselves, of our importance and our potential. All this constitutes a psychic attack of the highest magnitude. To accept it is defeat. Resistance is dangerous and unpredictable, but for those who realize the totality of defeat, resistance must be the only option conceivable. Right now, you have these alternatives: to remain forever part of a sleeping world, to gradually abandon the hopes and dreams of your childhood, to be permanently addicted to the drug of the commonplace, or to fight along with us to look for a new way on. The Temple of Psychic Youth has been convened in order to act as a catalyst and a focus for the individual, for their development, and for all those who wish to reach inwards and strike outwards. Maybe you are one of these, already feeling different, dissatisfied, separate from those around you. Perhaps it's instinctive and you're alert. You are already one of us. The fact that you have this message is a start in itself. Now, don't think we're going to tell you what to do or what to be. The world is full of institutions that would be delighted if you thought and did exactly what they told you to do. But the Temple of Psychic Youth is not and never will be one of those. We offer no dogmas, no promises of comfort, and no easy answers. You're going to have to find out all for yourself. We offer only some methods of survival, some ways to become your own true being. And we give you back to yourself. We support your individuality, in which the spirit and the will, united, burn within you with passion and pride. Our function is to direct and support. Work that is needlessly repeated is wasteful. Accordingly, we will be making public books, manuscripts, and recordings of our progress in various formats: videos, audio, These do not contain meaningless dogma, but are just examples of our interests at any given moment, our beliefs in action, and where we've reached in our exploration. They are not entertainment, but experience. They are not mundane records and products, not day-to-day routine. They are your spirit and your will triumphant. So that was the letter you got back when you wrote it and said, what the fuck is the Temple of Psyche? And then we said, oh, by the way, apart from that piece of writing, we'd like to masturbate every 23rd of the month at 2300 hours. You don't mind, do you? And surprisingly, so many people did. You see, we'd come across these experiments from the late 1800s and the early 1900s. Not as many people imagine, actually, Aleister Crowley, although we knew about him. Somebody more interesting called Austin Osman Spare. And we looked at his work, and he would do this ritual, usually alone. If it wasn't alone, always with a prostitute, so that he had no emotional confusion about creating the orgasm that he needed in his ritual. But we were looking at his work, and his idea, to simplify it, was that at the moment of orgasm, you can more or less post a message into your own deep consciousness and encourage it, even restructure it, rework the synapses, the neural pathways, in order to change the way you behave. Because ultimately, what is it we have to do as human beings to be different and to stop being destructive like we are? We have to find a way to change behavior. One of the hardest things to do of all. So with this technique, you can do something, we'll keep it simple. You decide that on the 23rd of the month, at 2300 hours, you're going to write down what you believe that day is your deepest, most secret, most passionate desire, the thing you would like to have happen more than anything else in your life. Now, one reason that we use the orgasm is because at that moment that you come, the conscious and unconscious minds blend. And just as we were talking about those particles, you can't remember exactly where you're going in the moment. The two just become one explosion, and you can send information right through all the filters of society, all the filters of your inhibitions and fears and whatever else it is that's stopping you from becoming what you really are, what you would really like to be. Often we would make pictures, we would write, we would draw. Some people would use Polaroid cameras, tape recorders. Bit by bit, these things became more and more specific to the individual. And as you begin to do this on a regular basis, you stop saying, I want to fuck the girl up the street, or I wish Bill would come and take me out and fuck me, which is, most of the first sigils were all about being fucked, of course. But then they start to get more complicated, and bit by bit people sort of start to say, I wish I wasn't always so self-defeating and distracted by sex. If only I could just remember what it is that I really want to do, write a book. That's what I really want to do. And what will happen is your unconscious or deep conscious will start encouraging you to always make choices, moment to moment, day to day, that move you towards that you really want. And you'll start to think and find that things you desired are beginning to take place. Yes, you're tricking yourself, but what a wonderful trick. And also, It's a great way to get people started with the idea of magic, having orgasms, because it's fun and pleasurable. So why not make it fun and pleasurable?